You're very welcome along to the Matchbook NFL podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hussey, and joined by a regular duo of Brad and Judah throughout this season. And plenty of talking points as always, guys, from last week. Brad, couple of people came to me saying they got a bit of Chiefs on the Super Bowl and in outright, so you gave them a good shout out, fair play. But you want to have a little rant about the London game. I don't know if you do or not on air, but you weren't overly impressed with the quality on show anyway last Sunday.
I was irrationally angry. Just, I feel like the players put in so much, and then when you see coaches just be cowards, and like the players, like Garrett Wilson wants to just throw the ball around, it just winds me up. Like just cowardice. So yeah, Aaron Glenn has really fallen in my estimation, and the Jets in general.
I think.
And Judah, yeah, you got up at 9:30 for this stuff.
I was gonna say, call it irrational. I think it's perfectly rational. I think I'm I like to think of myself as like the ultimate football lover. Like I'll never take any games for granted, never complain about the quality of play. That was just an embarrassment. I mean, a fullback dive on 3rd and 10 is just insulting to football fans everywhere. It was truly, both sides, astonishingly bad.
Yeah, well, look, Brad, you got on the right side of it with the Jets anyway, mate. So there's always that. Judah, there is no dominant team. I mean, Chiefs actually are officially favourites on Matchbook, having been. I think we had them in 5th, 6th, 7th favs this time last week. So that's just 7 days. What sort of team, for anyone that does want a little fun one on the outright markets, where are you looking for a team to maybe get on side the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think it's the New England Patriots. I mean, if you've been listening a bit the last couple of weeks, I've been certainly all over Drake May. And now I think maybe people have somewhat caught up. I think Drake May is a legitimate MVP candidate. And like that's going to do wonders for your offense, and I think is elevating the rest of the team. He's like 3rd in EPA per play now. But I think more so for a Super Bowl, you're really trying to chase the tail of getting like the number 1 seed. It's such a huge advantage in today's NFL, especially after Buffalo's loss. Like New England is kind of in the driver's seat relative, certainly to the AFC East, and then maybe even the rest of the conference. Their schedule is unbelievably easy going forward, and you kind of pair elite quarterback with somewhat easy schedule, already being in a decent spot. They're going to have to beat the Bills at home, probably, but not that much. I think needs to go right for this team to kind of through the regular season end up as one of the best teams, and then anything can happen with a terrific quarterback like that. The defense also quietly is improving over the last couple of weeks, and the run defense has certainly been terrific all season. So I'm monitoring the New England Patriots.
And very quickly, does the market catch up on that easy schedule, or is it more so maybe the not realizing that they're in the hunt for that 1 seed, or where's the bit of value do you think that the market's not quite there? Because around 40-ish.
Yeah, it's still heavily anchoring to like the Bills winning the division.
Yeah, of course.
And like these are the teams with the same record, and if anything, the Patriots have a small advantage having already beaten the Bills. But I don't think the market has them rated yet as the team that they certainly could get to. Like we could look at the season and say Drake May is the best quarterback, or had the best quarterback season in the NFL. I don't think he's the best quarterback. And that obviously would change the power ratings.
Okay, Brad, before we get into the games, is there any opportunities similar to the Chiefs that just for people to keep an eye on for the next few weeks, I guess, because it's so open, it does open the door. A 40.0 long shot doesn't feel as big as maybe in previous year if there is a 3.5 fab to beat if they're in the same division or conference, you know?
Yeah, in a similar range to Judah's bet there. I don't mind the Commanders. There's about 40 on the exchange currently. And they could be fads for their own division, given the Eagles are falling apart, can't complete a forward pass themselves. Dallas doesn't have a defense. So, I mean, you look at Football Outsiders, DVOA, they've got them closer to like half that price, basically, based on the Super Bowl win. And then, yeah, again, another elite quarterback, top 10 offensive line, should get some weapons back soon in Terry. Yeah, I mean, the defense is a bit of a mess. You know, Bobby Wagner in the middle is quite targetable, but yeah, so I think upside as well. You know, like with what they did last year in the playoffs with Jaden at quarterback, they can win any game.
Okay, hope we set up the rest of the season for you there. Before we get going, a reminder to hit that like button if you can. Thumbs up makes a massive difference, helps that content get out to a wider audience. And a reminder, of our current offer. It is the most generous offer currently. If you haven't got a Matchbook account and want to take advantage of the exchange pricing for singles, or if you want to do props, both singles or in a bet builder, you can, of course, check out matchbook.com. But enter the bonus code POD50, POD50, and get £50 worth in free bets when you bet 50. Full T's and C's on screen right now if you want to pause the video there, but you can also get them on matchbook.com/promotions. Judah, let's start with you this week. We've got the Panthers at the Jets. Panthers sneakily good. Some great stats going, though, at the moment about Panthers' record against the spread as favs and stuff like that. Do you ever buy into that kind of stuff in terms of a team not being good? It just wouldn't be your cup of tea, I'm sure.
No, that's just not my cup of tea. I think this more has to do with I guess two angles. Number one, I don't think the market has upgraded this Panthers team quite enough, both in terms of the offense and defense. I wonder if they get Jalen Coker back. I think they've really been kind of desperately seeking some kind of secondary wide receiver help beyond Ted McMillan. But this defense has been good, and I think in particular this run defense, which at some point last week I said something relative to the effect of, the Panthers' run defense had been so bad for 2 years. They'd been kind of the last couple of weeks playing a lot better. If they were able to hold the Dallas run game, which was number one in success rate and kind of dominating everyone to a below average performance, I was ready to say this Carolina run defense in particular is legit. And I think that it certainly manifested. I mean, they gave up like 31 rush yards on 19 attempts or something like that, which was a terrific showing for this team. And I think that's especially important against the Jets, who basically can only get any value from the run game. And I mean, the Jets are down. Garrett Wilson's not, I don't think, going to play in this game. Unlikely, I think Josh Reynolds is going to go. They're really, really, really thin at wide receiver. We obviously all watched the debacle London game that we were just talking about, where Justin Fields cannot complete a forward pass. And if the Panthers are going to slow this team also on the ground, I think they should have their way, because this is an offense that is improving. Obviously, the run game has certainly gotten going the last couple of weeks with Rico Dowdle. There's nothing the Jets can do defensively, I think, that's going to stop them. This is a team that can put up points, and I think it's a pretty underrated defense. I'm talking myself into a real tails case here as well, just by virtue of the Jets not being able to do anything. But nonetheless, I think this is a terrific spot for the Panthers.
Yeah, Brad, have you just given up on Jets in general after last week, but spooked, or is it a bit more you don't quite know if this Panthers team is there yet, or a bit of both?
I did bet a little bit of Panthers, and I quite like the under as well, which on the Matchbook bet builder you can get a pretty good price at 42.5 still, where some other books are down to 41.5. And the reason I like the under, so yeah, Jude was talking about the Carolina defense. It's a third in overall success rate, and good against the run. But the Jets are second in overall success rate on defense, actually only behind Denver. So I'm kind of can just imagine a similar game to what we saw last week, where both teams want to run the ball, but they're facing against really good run defenses. So they're just going to slam their head into the wall over and over again. And I'm not sure there's going to be too much passing down the field. The Panthers play super slowly, like 29th slowest offense. So yeah, I like Judah's angle, but I think like a low-scoring, grindy game is definitely on the table as well.
Okay. Low-scoring, grindy game in that one, and similar, you think, Brad, for Saints at the Bears. It does scream under to me, just given that 47 seems a tad high, and I guess that's the start of your case.
Yes, it's this is kind of outdoor windy game. About 15-mile-an-hour winds in the forecast at the minute, and this total is suggesting these are like really good offensive teams with bad defenses, given the outdoor windy environment. And I'm not certain that's the case. So one is the Bears defense on the season, terrible metrics, 28th in success rate, 31st against the run. But they looked a little bit better on Monday night, albeit in some weather itself. But again, might not be too dissimilar to what we see on Sunday, where they held the Washington offense, which I'm very high on. They held them to a 33% rush success rate, which is very impressive. And they're a little bit healthier than they were early in the season. Kyler Gordon back in the slot. They got TJ Edwards back at linebacker. And yeah, to me that game plan showed that this is not like a bottom 5 defense. This is maybe middle of the pack. And yeah, Saints going outdoors, I think we can maybe expect a lower output than we've seen from them. They've played 4 home games this year in the Dome and only 2 out of doors, and they got walloped in both games. And they've also, what we're seeing from the Saints is slowing down recently. The first month of the season, for whatever reason, I don't know, the Kellen Moore experience, they came out 28% no huddle rate. The last 2 weeks, they're down to 13% and 14%. So they've slowed down a lot as well. So, yeah, I think the general view is this is a Dome team going outdoors, fairly poor weather, and I would say this total is just a couple of points too high for me.
Okay, Judah, any thoughts on this game in terms of the total, or were you one where you just stayed clear?
Yeah, I mean, weather is always somewhat dicey, I think, at this point. But yeah, I kind of agree that, and I also think that each of these teams are going to lean fairly run heavy the rest of the way. I definitely would lean under here, but any weather take, I think, kind of makes me a little iffy at this point in the week.
Okay, let's move on to Monday Night Football. There's 2 games again, which is great for waking up on a Tuesday morning, watching 2 games of YouTube, getting the best part of 35, 40 minutes of content. I don't think it works over on the schedule. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Judah, leading into Bucks at Lions? But there is agreement from you guys on a selection here. So Bucks at Lions, currently 5.5, 6, depending what we shop around, but 5.5, 2.0, Judah, and you like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a Lions team that's very banged up in the secondary. I think a lot of the kind of market value, or at least the reaction to the Bucks, has been a team that has lost their entire receiving core. But with the way Baker Mayfield's playing right now, his sack avoidance is absolutely insane. I mean, he's extending plays more than almost any quarterback, and also avoiding sacks. And at that point, if you're doing that, you're going to allow so much time for your receivers to get open, and that's kind of been the case. I mean, it's like Tez Johnson's catching bombs every week. Sterling Shepard is bursting for 40-yard receptions, and I think this is a team that somehow, despite kind of its lack of weaponry, and we'll see what happens with Mike Evans this week, just is turning along, and this offense continues to score points. And I think this is a Lions defense that, if they're playing a ton of man coverage, but you just do not have the personnel to defend, because a lot of their team is hurt, and really the value from this defense is the pass rush. And if Baker Mayfield is avoiding sacks and scrambling around like he has a bunch of these weeks, I think that the Bucs are kind of undervalued in this spot. So I also think that there's some problems kind of on the left side of this Lions offensive line, and I think Bucs are going to be able to blitz a whole bunch and generate pressure, as they have all season, especially the disruption pressure, where they're second best in the NFL, and I think that can cause some issues for Goff. So I just think 5.5 is a bit too much right now, given the state of the Lions injuries, both on the offensive line and even in the secondary, especially for their types of coverage that they play.
Okay, Brad, the injuries is the key angle from Judah there, but I guess also just on UK and Ireland, if you are listening, Monday, this is a midnight game, so I'm definitely going to get the first hour or so in, so at least that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I saw this game very similar to Judah, really. The Lions going to be without 3 starting defensive backs, and Baker seems to throw. Doesn't matter who's on the field, he's going to throw it. It seems like they will get Mike Evans back. That seems like they're going to give him a go with a bad hamstring. That was kind of what the Bowls sounded like. Even if he's out there as a decoy and like a red zone threat, or a third down threat, which obviously adds something. And then I like that. So the Bucs run defense, best in the NFL by EPA, and obviously the Lions. To me, the Lions, everything flows through the run game. They want to run the ball successfully, and then they want to play action. And when they can't do that, if they're playing from behind or they can't run the ball, and it falls much more on Goff, then this offense just doesn't look the same. So the Bucs they won in this stadium last year as a worse team against the better Lions team. So they can definitely shut down what the Lions want to do. And yeah, if you can get, I'm looking at the exchange now, you can get +6, 1.9 ish, which I think is a nice price.
Okay, that's the single, and Brad, but lead on to an SGB. So we're going to have a double. This is going to be the £10 money back special, but it's going to be a double this week. Don't want to force a third selection in there. So 5.5, just given how the bet builder works, the matchbooks, the half points. So Bucks plus 5.5, combine it with Montgomery under 45.5 rushing yards. Would you play the single at Montgomery at 186 and then the double at 3.0? What's the strategy?
Yes, I would play both singles separately. You get charged a little bit of correlation here, but I'm not sure it's enough. If you go through Montgomery's game log now, as we said, Bucks #1 run defense in the NFL by EPA. Montgomery seems to be more out of favor with this Lions regime than the last coaching staff. Obviously, like new OC in there. He's getting nearly 7 fewer carries a game, and if you go through his box score, when the Lions crush teams, he's getting 11, 12 carries. He got that against like the Bengals, against the Ravens where they scored 30 odd, against the Bears where they scored 50. But when they lose a game or when it's tighter, like I don't know, last week he got 4 carries when they were obviously in a more of a trailing game state. So if we like the Bucks to keep it close or be ahead, we think they've got an excellent run defense. And I think that all kind of pushes us towards more correlation than's being factored in this price.
Okay, let's lock that in. Again, insidesummatchups.com if we want a recap of that selection, details on how you can get involved in that. That's £10 money back as a free bet if it loses, and you can get a recap of all the guys' picks here. And it seems every week, Judah, we're taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, and you are going to take them on in the tails here. Where are you at with them? Because of obviously the injuries, Chargers trying to get players back. Backup running backs seem to perform well there for them, to be fair, but you feel there's a bit of juice in taking them on the tails.
Yeah, first I have to defend myself. I was all over the Chargers earlier this season.
Apologies.
No,
yes.
It's not just because I don't like your Chargers and picking against them.
It's tough, man, because it's like we're finally a decent team, but again, I think the injuries are gonna destroy the season. And I digress.
And that's kind of the angle that I'm picking on here, which is that this offensive line is really just a total train wreck, and it's very hard to have any sort of offensive success when doing that. Justin Herbert's kind of depth of target went way down last week. They were getting the ball out a lot quicker just because of the state of the offensive line, and I do think that it just limits your offense so much, and especially so. The benefit the Chargers had of at least kind of mitigating some of the pass rush was that, Cameron Vidal ran for 130 yards and was averaging 7 yards per carry. I think that says more about the Miami run defense, who is allowing everyone to run for 7 yards per carry. And the Colts is not a great run defense, but I think it is still a degree a lot better than the current state of Miami. They still have a decent pass rush that the Colts do, and I think the Chargers offense is just going to be so limited. And then on the flip side of the ball here, I think the Chargers defense is still a bit overrated, and this is a Colts offense that every single week has just been moving the football at a top clip in the NFL. They're dealing with a little bit of injury at wide receiver in particular. I don't know if Josh Downs is going to go, but that's a spot where they have a ton of depth. They have so many weapons, and I think that if you kind of add up these angles where the Colts are continuing to move the ball as they have against every single opponent this year, and they get themselves into a positive game state where the Chargers are forced into obvious pass situations, and I don't think this is an offensive line that can hold up. So I like the long shot here of the Colts winning with a bunch of margin, kind of playing that game angle out of Colts continuing to move the ball no matter the defense, which mitigates some of the market effect because the market is pricing in a very good Chargers defense, in addition to the Chargers offensive line weakness really kind of rearing its ugly head, especially in this particular game state where the Colts are leading and playing from ahead.
Okay, we'll go up to -8.5 as we can. That's the max on the bet builder, but you're still getting 3.3 on that, Judah. And you can, of course, if you want a bit more juice, Judah is betting that all the way up to -9.5. And Brad, I think I probably took the line I should have said to you about taking on the Chargers to Judah. So poor Judah got caught in the crossfire there. But if there is still juice, there's no point just leaving it the bet and going for another one on the card. If you feel those injuries aren't quite priced in, you can take advantage.
Yes. Well, my best bet was Colts money line, which is ticking up this week with some gentle money for the Chargers. You get 2.18 on the exchange. But in the end, I went with Colts team total over, just because, yes, Chargers injuries on the offensive line, but also fairly significant injuries in the Colts secondary. And it just made it a bit too uncertain for me. So I thought I'd stick with the Colts offense, who is, I know Judah talked about this a lot, but they are easily, like, statistically one of the best in the NFL. They're second in rushing EPA on the season. They're first in overall success rate. Brandon Thorne has the Colts offensive line ranked 4th, and he's got the Chargers defensive line ranked 30th. And again, if we speak a lot about the Chargers defense, who they love to play the too high, they love to play light boxes. And if you can run the ball off a 5 yards a carry, or, for a decent success rate, either they leave their 2 safeties deep and you pick up 5 yards a carry, or they are forced to bring people in the box, and then they're very vulnerable over the top. And the Colts are perfectly set up to do exactly that. They will happily run Jonathan Taylor all day long into light boxes, or if you bring safeties down, they'll hit Alec Pierce over the top. So yeah, to me, the Colts are still not being priced like an elite offense. Maybe it's because of Daniel Jones, but they've been it all year long, and I don't think this is the defense that's suddenly going to change that.
Yeah, they've been very good this year. 20.0 currently Super Bowl price, maybe a team to keep an eye on. And final word to you, Judah. This was one of the 2 Monday Night Football games last week. I thoroughly enjoyed that game against Bills, to be honest. Great win for the Falcons. Where were you with that win? Was it a bit of the Bills coming back to the pack a little bit, or did you feel the Falcons really stepped up and showed they're a quite decent team?
I mean, I think the Falcons offense has been it's been kind of somewhat clear what type of team they are, at least right now, which is like a really terrific running offense and like a passing game that's going to flow through Drake London, but is going to be, I think, somewhat capped. But like Bijan Robinson right now has an explosive element that no one else in the league, I think, can really replicate. And I think what this more says is like this Falcons defense, which came in with some of the best numbers and like held the Bills to 14 points, and Josh Allen threw for 180 yards on 26 attempts. Like, I think this is a legitimate defense and one that I think kind of surprisingly looks like it's going to be one of the better units in the NFL. So that's like on the one hand, I think the Falcons are like going to be a very solid. I don't think they have the elite upside given kind of the inability to really throw the ball downfield and win with multiple options. But you just have such a high floor of success when their rushing offense is as good as it is. And then I said this last week, I just like this 49ers defense, I think, is really terrible. And the injuries have absolutely decimated this team. Look, PFF grades certainly not interesting to say this week. They're not the be all end all here, but it is just a sea of kind of red and orange, which is just well below average grades. And this is across the board. The team is completely decimated by injury. I think is one of the worst units in the NFL, and I think the Falcons should certainly have their way running the football and even as well passing. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, it's possible that that the Niners get Ricky Pearsall back, but this is still like probably a hobbled Mac Jones again, who is taking far too many sacks. Is just he certainly can put up great passing yardage marks, but I don't think they're going to have such an easy time moving the ball against this Falcons defense that I speak of. And I think this is just when we look back in 6-7 weeks at what the Niners offense was with a hurt Mac Jones versus what the Falcons and this Falcons defense was becoming, I think this is a spot where we're going to look back and say the Falcons probably should have been slight favorites in this game.
Okay, Falcons money line 224, Brad. And I have to say, my ears do prick up when Judah a few times this season says we will look back on this price in a few weeks to end his case. So are you in agreement with that, with the Niners injuries, or happy to leave this game alone?
No, I like it. I was just pulling up the last San Francisco defense, the last 3 weeks. So since Bosa's gone down, second last in the NFL in success rate allowed, behind only Dallas and one spot above Cincinnati. So like down there with dreadful defenses. And obviously that was with Fred Warner, who he is probably the best middle linebacker in the NFL. So already a bottom 2 defense, and then take by far the best player, most experienced player, like calling the plays, everything, take him out of there. And yeah, it could be a mauling. And you would also say, since the Falcons moved the offensive coordinator down from the booth down to the field, and they've been better since then. I don't know if that's related or that's just a nonsense narrative, but it's interesting. But yeah, definitely I like the Falcons side here.
Would they all be on the sideline, the offensive coordinators? Is that booth just a rare occurrence, or do a few teams do it?
I feel like generally they're higher. They're generally up in the booth, but I don't know. I wouldn't know the split, to be honest.
Yeah, very good. Very interesting. Insights.matchbook.com. There's a full recap of the bets being thrown at you there. But my thanks to Brad and Judah. Thoroughly enjoyed that. If you hit that like button as well, take 2 seconds. If you're watching the live stream or watching back, makes a difference to help our content get out to a wider audience. But enjoy the last London game. Enjoy this Sunday's NFL. And we'll chat to you this time next week. Bye-bye.